Alright, how's everybody doing? Today I'm gonna talk about a game between my student from the first review in the series. So he had another very interesting game that I would like to introduce. So he's playing as Blackstones in this game, and his opponent is 1 Dan. So he's currently 4Q. And this is definitely a very tough game. So let's see how it goes. Black starts out with the big knight enclosure, double 3/4 big knight enclosure, very good opening, and white approaches. So I encourage you to play out the the big knight enclosure, because if you play out the small knight, white has this really annoying attach. And after, even if you play correctly, this is how you would play correctly as black, and then white is very fast in terms of development. So not to say that this makes a difference in our games, but just to be very accurate in my videos, this is what professional thinks why you should not play the small knight enclosure. So the big knight is played, white approaches, and we have this very common Joseki, another very common Joseki, and white defends the corner. So at this point, it's very clear what black wants to do, right? So he's grabbed 3 corners for himself, and he now splits. This is a very well played opening by my student. He's been working certainly very hard on Josekis as well as openings. Very clear what he wants to do. 3 corners and now a split. White defends from the side of the corner. So if you defend from this side, black will approach. And he threatens to slide in here. So this is a very difficult game for white, because after you kick to prevent the slide in, I can extend, and my group is a lot stronger. It's very hard to attack this group. So instead, white squeeze from the other side. Black makes a 2-space extension. That is very good, and white decides to strengthen himself. That is also a great idea in black Ataris. So at this point, I was very impressed by both sides. Both sides were playing very accurately, and I think it's still a very equal game. White decides to attack, black jumps out. White peeps, black connects, and white makes us a Keima. This is the way to cut your opponent off in this shape. This is a very common shape. So if black pushes, we can cut him off, right? Obviously, if he cuts, we can just take the stone. So black stone is disconnected, and black decides to obviously not try to escape, but to look for skirmish in the corner. This is an excellent idea, right? So if white just plays without thinking, let's say he just plays out this one, black is able to connect himself or try to connect himself. Obviously, this would still be a little bit complicated, because at this point, white can still make use of this second line stone to drag the stones back. So this will be also very complicated. Well, in the game was even more complicated, because white decides to extend and black push and cut. So here, I would offer black another way of thinking, that is to hane. So when white obviously needs to block, so when he blocks, we can connect and check. We can jump. There's a weakness, so white fixes, and we can live our corner. So we destroyed white's territory, and we're gonna treat these 3 stones lightly, right? So we can afford to sacrifice, no problem. White now has a few weaknesses, right? There's a cutting point over here. So if he ever fixes that weakness, we can treat him lightly. So this is the way how you treat him lightly, is to not play this kind of move. So when you play the jump, no, you're not treating them lightly, you're treating them heavily. So, but when you make this kind of move, that's a lot better, right? When he plays out this one, we can just go ahead and even start playing somewhere else, right? So this can all be sacrificed, no problem. So that would be a flexible way of playing, but instead black decides to cut and white extends. Excellent aggressive move. And now it's not so clear what black can do. Black is definitely a bit lost in terms locally. There's no good response. So here probably I would just extend and treat my center group and sacrifice. Maybe sacrifice like this, and this is still a playable game. Instead, black decides to not choose this one, but to attach in the corner. So this attach is fancy, but doesn't really work out because white can just play a tiger's mouth. Seems like black can extend. So if black extends, white can kill everything inside, right? So at this point, it's not so clear how black's gonna live. And alternatively, if black honeys, we can go in and capture the stone. And this is just not gonna work out. So I'm gonna just play out the variation. At this point, white can kill. Even if you get Atari, it's not a problem. This is gonna basically, you're gonna lose by 1 liberty, right? So black is gonna be all captured. So after this tiger's mouth, black is pretty much dead inside. So that's not a great outcome for black if white plays correctly. So, but instead white decides to turn, which gives black a lot of room to breathe. So black plays out this one, and black gets the corner, and black settles his group, or pretty much temporarily he's fine. A better move here for black is to play the tiger's mouth this way. When white Ataris, we can flip Atari, or we can Atari from behind, and now black is a lot safer this way, right? His group is towards the outside, facing the outside, so he will be under a lot less attack. So this is probably a better move. Instead, black fixes like that, so white peeps and black connects. And the black groups looks quite heavy right now. So, and then they played in the corner. Black lived because when white honeys, which is played in the game, black can extend down and make himself alive, and there's no more way to really kill black right here. So instead, white decides to look for a skirmish from elsewhere. Here I would probably just invade like this, right? This is threatening to go into R17 as well as attacking the R11 stone. But instead, white decides to attach, and they play out very standard variation. That's how you would play out. Black should not rush, because when you rush the capture, black got the S15 stone, and he's a lot stronger. Instead, the correct move is for black to turn here once, and then capture the R18 stone. And now white's tiger's mouth is not a sente anymore. Alright, so So they played out some variations. Not worth the time to spend too much time on it. White played a few very passive moves, right? So at this point, White should probably play more active, fix his weakness, and try to cut Black's two groups off to really keep himself in the game. But instead, he decides to play a gote. So this is what is played. But this is a gote. Only has a few points, but that's it. So that's really not doing much. But Black's jump does a lot, right? It makes this group stronger, and it's looking to attach at R8. So White realizes that he needs to defend, and now Black cuts and then strengthens his group. So at this point, White is behind in territory. He needs to attack one of these groups, or otherwise he will be behind. So White decides to do that. Black pushes, and White plays another passive move that is not so great, because White should definitely go ahead and play more active, right, at this point. What can Black do locally? I'm not too sure. Like, White is connected here. Maybe there's some weird moves like this, but I mean, you just have to fight Black here. Pretty much have no choice. So I don't read everything, but probably this is a continuation that is possible. If you go in like this, I can cut you off from the outside. So something like this. But yeah, White should definitely go ahead and start his attack. But he didn't do that. He was worried about some Aji over here, which is it is not so okay in this scenario because he's just he's behind. He can't afford to play passive. All right, so now Black played very actively, right? Not only cut White off, but also connected himself. Very well played by Black. And White plays another passive move, and Black got a bit greedy, right? Here I would probably recommend just protect. Not only gains points, but safety, right, between the groups. So, but instead, Black played out this one, and now Black finally realizes the Aji here, and then fixed it, and then made another move to fix. And then they play out a Ko here, which is kind of boring because Black can always connect at A2 and make himself alive. So played out a few moves, and Black realizes, oh, that's the case. Well, I just need to make myself alive. So he did that, and a few more endgame moves. And here is White's last attempt. Here Black should just play safe. Black's ahead, and why not just play safe like this? This is the safest way to guard everything. Instead, Black leaves some wedges, and White decides to come in, and Black connected. So this is a blunder. Instead, Black should have just play out this one. White has no choice, right? White pretty much has to take, and we can Atari, and White connects, and we Atari, and then these stones get laddered, right? So there you go. So that's gonna be game over, right? After that, right? At this point, it's probably game over. Not what is played. Black decided to. Black did not read that, so he just played out that one. In the center is destroyed. That's a big loss. And a few other skirmishes, and And now white tries to fight here as well to try to drag everything out. Black connected, but black better move is to just to read these things out and capture white. So white obviously cannot connect from this side. So white needs to get out, but we can just prevent that from happening. And check that. So this is game over as well. So really this pulling out is not going to work tactically. Alright, so black did not see that once more. Maybe spend a bit more time when you are in a game and like this, and there's a lot of reading that can be done to reach a better result. Alright, not a problem. I think black is still ahead at this point, and they played out some other end games. I'm just gonna go very fast because these are end games. And by the way, if you want to improve end game skills, I believe there's a lot of books out there that you can check and that talks about end games. So I'm not really gonna cover it here because that's just a skill that you acquire as you play more games. Alright, so played a lot more moves. And here I believe black can squeeze. This is looking at the cutting point. So, and also this Atari. If white connects, we can capture the entire group. And if white saves the group, we can capture this whole center. So that was also a good opportunity. And here white obviously made a blunder, right? White should have just connected himself like this or like this instead of pushing here, because these have a lot more points. But instead, he did not connect, he just pushed here. That's a gote, and black cut these stones off. That's a big loss for white. And after a few more moves, at this point, white resigned. So black's leading in terms of territory, and white resigned. So first of all, congratulations to my student. It's the first time he won against Wan Dan. It's currently 4Q, so winning against Wan Dan is definitely very difficult. But he made it with a very, very solid game. Very well played overall, right? Definitely some inaccuracies, but I haven't seen big mistakes in this game. Unlike the last game he played. So white's overall performance was, I think, was good, but it was too passive in this game. A lot of passive moves in the middle instead of trying to cut a black off and forcing an attack or something like that. But I just want to quickly go to like the opening. I think there's a lot to learn from black's idea. That is to see how black got 2 corners in Sente, and then he goes in to take the 3rd corner. So at this point, he already ensured himself a lead in terms of territory. And white decides to secure the corner. That's fine. And look at what happens. Black splits and destroy white's potential to make a moyo. That's a very, very smart way of playing. And check. I just want to stop at this point because we already see the idea for black. It's to territory, and then destroy your territory so you have no more territory. But also we can see it's putting pressure onto white. So very, very good opening. overall, right? He's worked very hard on these openings, and that's why he gets to beat a 110 at this point. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna go to 2Q and 1Q and eventually into the Dan level very soon if he keeps working this way. Alright, if you liked the video, give a thumb up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get more reviews like this. If you would like your own game to be reviewed, you can message me on OGS Go server. My username is new to Sente, and I'm I'm 5 Dan right now. But I mean, the rating doesn't really represent my real life rating. But I'm a 5 Dan on OGS, so you can find me quite easily. And just message me what games you've played, and I'll be more than glad to take a look. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.